Hello everyone, and welcome to my new Five Nights at Freddy's theory video. Now, there is a couple of things that I feel that I didn't quite answer with the last video, particularly about the box, no, not about the box, about Golden Freddy and who Michael is. So, in the last video we talked about what is inside the box. Now, I theorized that if you don't want to watch the video, basically it's that in the clock ending in FNaF World, where you pick up the FNaF 3 mini games and basically create them, and then at the end of it, presumably Fred Plush says that we've put the pieces together. All we have to do is find them. And Scott said about the box that it's the pieces put together. So what do you do when you get all the FNaF 3 mini games together? You get Happiest Day. However, in FNaF 4, all the FNaF 3 mini games, you could see them in different variations in FNaF 4. So it probably is a different angle or point of view for Happiest Day. And also talked a wee bit about Golden Freddy is actually Cassidy, not the bite victim. And today I'm going to be talking a bit more about Golden Freddy and also the mysterious case of Remember Jeremy, because I feel that the whole Scott is trying to point out, and Steelwall, well, mostly Scott Coffin, because he is the one in charge of the law, which Steelwall confirmed, is that he's pointing out Remember Jeremy. So Jeremy must be important. He can't just be a standalone character that just dies and then that's the end of it. And I'm also going to be talking about who Michael Afton is, the bite victim or the Foxy brother. So the thing is that people say that maybe Golden Freddy wasn't part of the main five and maybe the puppet is. Well, the thing is that that's completely wrong because Scott has said that we in the Steam post about the FNaF 4 box that we got 1, 2, 3 right. He said, when I released the first game over a year ago, everyone found every bit of lore and story. Same thing happened with part 2, and Game Theory did an incredible job on part 2, getting almost everything right. Now, the one thing that MatPad did get wrong with FNAF 2 is he said that phone guy is purple guy, but we know that is not true. There are two separate characters, so that's one thing he got wrong. But he did say that the puppet was the first and before the main five, and that Golden Freddy is part of the main five. And then when FNAF 3 came out, we said the same thing. We saw the bad ending and saw Golden Freddy in the background and said, oh, they're part of the main. He's part of the main five. And Scott said when part 3 came out, once again the story was uncovered by the community. It seemed like there is nothing I could hide. It wasn't that we got most of it right, but there was one thing that we got wrong. We got everything right, so Golden Freddy must be the fifth child who was murdered. He can't be the bite victim. But that still doesn't answer why he's different. Well, we see during the FNaF 3 minigames, whenever Purple Guy destroys the the main characters of Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy, that they end up becoming like these ghost children. However, Golden Freddy starts out as sort of like a ghost child. So I think that sometime after the unfortunate incident at the sister location involving multiple and simultaneous springlock failures, the company deems those suits unfit for employees forever, and as a result, they destroyed the suit. However, because Cassidy was possessing that suit, she became a soul. She just became a ghost of the suit that she previously inhabited. Now, halfway while I was making this theory, MatPat made his theory saying that that the games are connected to the books in a lot of ways, and then he said at the end, maybe Michael Afton isn't Michael Afton, he's actually Michael Emily, and said that the Afton house is actually the Emily house. Well, it's kind of proven wrong with the game files that Michael is actually Michael Afton. So, however, there was a couple things he pointed, and for that reason, I don't think that this house was originally the Afton's house. I think that after Charlie died, um, Henry decided that he was going to leave, so he left the house and Afton moved in. And the house and the girls' room that we see isn't Elizabeth's because she wasn't created. And it was FNaF 4 was meant to be the end. Why would he introduce a character that we know nothing about? And we and I don't think that the puppet is the retcon because there wasn't really anything apart from save him. And yeah, so the girls' room was originally Charlie's, and then once Henry left, the room remained the same because he probably couldn't change to bear it. So when the Afton family moved in, I think that BV probably took what was Sammy's room, if Sammy does exist in the games, and Foxy Bro got the girls' room, which made him probably very upset and jealous towards the bite victim. MatPat also raised a very interesting point about the twisted animatronics and the illusion discs, saying that it was the pins and the illusion discs that caused the illusion. And see in the blueprints that Circus Baby does have the pins um, in the games. But what could she change into? Well, I think that the Funtime animatronics become the Nightmare animatronics, with Baby becoming Freddy, with the little Freddles probably being the Biddy Babs, and Funtime Freddy becoming Nightmare Chica, with Bonbon attacking you just like how the Nightmare Cupcake does. Yet again, Funtime Chica does have that bung eye. However, in FNAF 6, we see that Molten Freddy, he does have a bung eye, and Funtime Freddy is in control of the hive mind. We also have Funtime Foxy, modeled by the Smiley. I couldn't find anything better. So, yeah. And Funtime Foxy is Nightmare Foxy, mostly because they pretty much act the same. They both are very animal-like. And then there's Blora left, who probably becomes Nightmare Bonnie. Now, looking at the song, I think that the song isn't actually about like her losing a child or anything. I think it's about her being a nightmare. Why do you hide inside your walls when there's music in my holes? She's trying to tell the child to come out so that she can jump scare them. All I see is an empty room, no more joy, an empty tomb. Because the gameplay probably happens after the bite of 83 when BV's become completely broken and terrified of the animatronics. There is no joy the, the with the plush toys that he once called his friends. It's so good to sing all day, to dance, to spin, to fly away. Now, a lot of you are going to be saying, "Oh, but the games are completely not canon." Well, Scott hasn't actually said that. He said that when the game came out and people said that, oh, the books just it doesn't have anything to do with the FNaF story. It doesn't connect, like Springtrap Death and the Silverise is completely different to the FNaF 3 Death. So he said that they're not that the books are not in the same universe as the games. He said that when he created the books, he said that sometimes the lore of something can be so crowded that you can't tell an original story anymore. And the games and books should be considered to be separate continuities, even if they do share many familiar elements. So it does admit that there are a few things that are similar, however, they are different. And then in a separate post, he said that the truth is that after a while, lore can be so dense that there isn't room for a story anymore. Another truth is that what makes for a good game doesn't necessarily make for a good book. So he already had an idea for a story set within the FNaF universe, but he wanted to keep it separate from the games because he didn't want to make it more confusing, and he thought that it would be better as a book. And he kind of does say this by saying, it can be set in a different timeline, an alternate universe, different location, or perhaps from a vantage point that isn't entirely what it appears to be. So he's not saying it's a different universe, he's saying that it's one of the options. So with that, it brings me to more discussion about the books and how they're connected to the games. So I see after he made that comments, with the Twisted One's cover art is clearly of Nightmare and nightmare, the nightmare, and it's not exactly the same model because it's been altered. As you can see with the teeth are nice and sharp and not broken at all. However, with the twisted ones, they've got all withered, and you can and Nightmare doesn't have quite a full head. However, with the cover, he has a full head. So the model has obviously been altered. However, if he altered it, why wouldn't he just use Twisted Freddy? Because one of the artists did make an official Twisted Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, Foxy, and Wolf. Why not have that? Because he wanted to say that this is what the nightmares are. They are twisted, they are monsters. They are monsters created by this technology. And this similar thing happens with FNaF 6. This Candy Cadet talks about 5 becoming 1. And in the fourth closet, we see that happening with William Afton using the remnants of the 5 children becoming one animatronic. And then further in the fourth closet, we see that there are 2 children of the missing children incident are the same in the gravestone ending, particularly Fritz and Susie. And Susie's story is what happened in Freddy Maze. It is a confirmation used in the books, not a game. So for that, I think that we shouldn't just say, oh no, it's the books, we can't use anything. I think that there is some things that we can use, however, we need to be sure that there are differences. However, there are big things that keep them together. So, the thing that with FNaF 4, it was all about Golden Freddy. It was, well, entirely Golden Freddy and Bite Victims relationship. I'll put you back together. Fredbear biting Beavy, and yet Fred Plush is still trying to help Beavy. The pieces are in place for you. And then there comes the box. So, what does it all mean? Well, you could say that the bite of 83 is Happiest Day, and you could say that Michael is, and that BV is Golden Freddy. However, when you look at Happiest Day in the logbook, you find that Happiest Day is actually a combo for Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, and the bite of 83 happens in Fredbear's Family Diner. So I don't think the Happiest Day and bite of 83 are the same. You could argue that, oh, that's just subtle differences, but that's the same thing that caused bite of 83 versus bite of 87. They're similar incidents, however, they're separate, just like the bite of 83 and Happiest Day. Now I'm going to talk about, because the books are from a certain vantage point, I think that there are 2 contrasting vantage points, particularly between the books are meant to be about the Afton family, while the games are about the Afton family, while the books are about the Emily family. So the similarities between Michael and Charlie are both have a brother and mother that is never mentioned. Even if you think Michael is Foxy Bro, Beavy is never heard of, and his mother isn't heard of. And if you think Michael is Beavy, well, Foxy Bro is never heard of, and his mother is never heard of. Both can't die. Charlie got basically fooled by Twisted Freddy in the Twisted Ones. Meanwhile, Michael, he got scooped and he's still survived. And both have weird nightmares, with Charlie mostly thinking about Sammy, while Michael having nightmares of the nightmare animatronics. Now, the similarities between the bite victim and Charlie, who I think BV, the bite victim, is Michael. Now, both of them died in 1983. Both of them have an animal childhood toy friend, Fredbear and Theodore. Both are afraid of Foxy because Charlie did think that the silver-eyed animatronic was Foxy and was afraid of Foxy. However, it turns out that it wasn't, it was actually Baby. And both were suspicious about what things are happening around them. And my theory is that both of them are robots. That Beavy was, the bite victim was brought back to life as a robot. So in the books, Charlie has four robot forms: an infant, a tween, a teen, and an adult, with the adult being taken by William Afton and turned into baby. Now, I think that Michael had four different forms: Mike Schmidt, Jeremy Fitzgerald, Fritz Smith, and Michael Afton. Now, Mike Schmidt is different to Michael Afton because employees can't work at one locate. They can't be past employees. So William or Michael used that as a getaway by creating another robot identity. So we see in Help Wanted, there's this mention about Jeremy. Now I think that Jeremy is Jeremy Fitzgerald, and I think that as another theory that Jeremy and Fritz were victims of the missing children incident, and they used their names as an identity. So there are four, five quotes about about Jeremy that I think do that say that he is that he is Michael and an animatronic, a robot. He said, Tape Girl says, I think it's made worse by the fact that Jeremy tried to tell us that something was wrong. And in the logbook, Michael mentions that he's the only one that thinks there's something wrong with this place, and that's why he feels that he relates with Clara from The Immortal and the Restless. And in the next one, Tape Girl says that Jeremy used to do design work. Well, in the logbook, he drew a very good image of Nightmare Fredbear, and he is a bit of an artist. It's a bit of a typo, or it could be quite a coincidence, thinking if he is Michael the Bite victim. But yeah, he always does little sketches of cartoons and all that. So I think that Michael being a designer, doing design work, could make sense with what Jeremy is. And in the third one, Jeremy complained of nightmares. Well, Michael has nightmares in FNaF 4, vivid nightmares like Jeremy's, because Tape Girl says that it wasn't like you're describing a dream to Jeremy, it felt real. Now, in the fourth one, he sounds here like he's talking to someone. Well, we know that Mal here, the fascist virus in Help Wanted, is William Afton, so he could be talking to his father, saying, like, how are you here, and leave, things like that, trying to get him away because he doesn't want same things to happen again. In the fifth one, she says, I couldn't see his face. He had a visor covering his head. He had ink spilled on himself as well. The front of his shirt looked black in the dark. He turned his head in my direction, but I don't think he knew I was there. Well, and it turns out that in the fourth closet that the fake blood was Charlie's. Now, I don't know what's happened. Maybe William cut off Jeremy's face, or Jeremy cut his face off to try and stop William from possessing him. But he did turn his head into Tape Girl's direction. So I do think that Jeremy did survive it, and he did end up getting fired. He wasn't killed. Now, final thing to leave it on. At the end of the logbook, we had this mysterious teaser of Chica that it went nowhere. However, the in the VR game Help Wanted, this was found in the game files, what looks like to be the same Chica, and also found in the game files is Withered Foxy, which wasn't finished. Now we know that the Withered animatronics are definitely coming, and also Freddy, Bonnie, and Chica weren't in the game files yet they came. So Chica in the game files could have been edited to look more like Scrapped Baby, and perhaps in the logbook we'll learn more about Jeremy and Michael and in the upcoming DLC. And yep, that's the end of the video, the theory. Upcoming we have Showdown Bandit from the developers of Bandy and the Ink Machine. I might do a Let's Play and theories. There's also the AR game of FNaF and the Help Wanted DLC. We also have the not really a sequel or a prequel, Bendy and the Dark Revival, the next Bendy game, Dark Deception Chapter 4 and 5, and I might do a theory on after Chapter 5 releases, and also the FNaF novella series, so there's plenty more this year. And next year we have 58 and something that Scott's working on, which will be related to FNaF, and an untitled sequel to Help Wanted, developed by Steel Wool. And yeah, thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if you liked it. And yeah.